Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be talking about a very exciting topic, and it's how to manage your periods as a student, or how to manage your periods in school. I think that being in school or being a student has its exciting and sometimes not so exciting bits. It's quite exciting to just go to school, see your friends, having those chit chats, and most of the teachers sometimes, they know what they're doing, and the lessons can be exciting. But you also have the challenges that come with waking up in the morning, when you just want to have a little bit of sleep. There's also the challenge of just having to study, going through some discipline, and really just being a student. But there's also this one challenge that comes with being a student when you're a girl or you're a lady. It's having your periods on a school day. Just think about it. All those things that you have to think about when it comes to periods. And then you also have to go to school. Sometimes it's a bit challenging. So today we'll be talking about a few tips, just some really nice tips that you can use when you're on your periods and you have to go to school. All right, so let's dive in. Before we start, my name is Karen, and if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing to the channel and just like the video and share it to all the students that you know, because when they're on their periods, they may need this information. So let's just look at a few of the challenges that you could have as a student when you're on your periods. All right, one of them is just the fear of staining your uniform. All right, so sometimes if your uniform is like, say, a bright colored uniform, the green, white, red, any kind of color that is not dark blue, is not black. Sometimes there's just that fear, that you have in your mind that you could stain your uniform with blood. That in itself is a challenge. Then there's also the fact that sometimes you don't have enough breaks at school. All right, so if you're a heavy bleeder and you have to sit in class for perhaps 2 hours, 3 hours, and you're not able to use the toilet, there's also the fear that anything could happen and you could stain yourself. And even when you have breaks sometimes at school, it's quite a short break. It's 15 minutes sometimes, or even shorter, just for a short break. And then you rush to the toilet and there's a massive queue at the toilet, and then you really struggle with that. Another challenge you could have at school is the fact that you could have abdominal cramps and the headaches and the tiredness, and then you can't focus, with your lessons because you're just not feeling well and because you're on your periods. Ordinarily, you'll be okay, but because you're on your period, sometimes you just don't feel like being in class. And sometimes it's a really important lesson and you don't want to miss out on the lesson. Or maybe you're preparing for exams and you don't want to miss out. But then your periods are just giving you one kind of trouble, and you can't focus. You don't want to go home, but you don't want to stay because of your periods. Then there's also the stigma. Believe me or not, there is still the stigma about periods, about menstrual periods. I've often just wondered, why is it that people think that it's normal to stain your clothes with oil and water, but then it's kind of disgraceful when you stain yourself with menstrual blood? Well, that's a topic for another day. But just so you know that sometimes it's challenging for some girls because of the stigma to think that they could stain their uniforms. And so just being on their periods and being in school, it's quite challenging for them. For some other students, it's the fact that they have back-to-back lessons, especially if you're in the examination classes. And then because you have back-to-back lessons, just being in the lessons is tiring enough. You're already tired. And then you're on your periods, and the periods are making you tired, So those are a few of the challenges. Please leave a comment in the comment section about some other challenges which you have as a student, or which you have when you're in school and you are on your periods. All right, now let's look at a few of the tips that you can use to manage your periods when you are in school. First up is to have your emergency kit. Honestly, I cannot stress this enough. Make sure that as you pack your bag to go to school, inside your bag you have your emergency period kit. I will leave a link in the description of a video where you can watch how I packed the emergency period kit. So the emergency period kit will actually have some things that you need because you'll be in school for the whole day, and you need to change your pad, or you need to care for yourself. So just make sure that you have your emergency period kit. That's a top tip that you need. In your emergency period kit, make sure you have some paracetamol or any other pain medication. Make sure you have your pads in them. Make sure you have a tampon if that's what you use. Make sure you have hand sanitizer and all the other things which are meant to be in that emergency period kit. So like I said, I'll leave a link in the description so you can watch the video. The second one is to make sure that the period supplies that you are using are adequate for your flow. That's really important because you'll be in school, and sometimes you'll be in school from, say, perhaps 8 o'clock in the morning to 4 p.m. That's about 8 hours. You want to be sure that the period supplies which you've put in your emergency period kit are adequate for your flow. Now, what that means is that if you're a heavy bleeder, make sure that your pads, if you're using pads, are absorbent enough. Like they are those thick ones. They are really absorbent so that you don't have to always leave the classroom to go and change up. That's what I mean. You know, if you're using tampons, make sure that you have enough tampons so that you don't always have to leave the classroom. So make sure that your supplies are adequate for your flow. And the way you're going to know this is just by the fact that you would have studied your menstrual period. And you know that generally, by the way I bleed, I would have to change 4 times in 8 hours or 5 times in 8 hours. And that gives you the number of pads or the number of tampons or the number of cups or whatever that you are using. So please make sure that you understand what your period flow looks like and your supplies are adequate for your flow. The third one is to make sure you have a water bottle. I know this is a general thing for students to take a water bottle to school, but there are some students who may just forget. But just remember that when you are on your period, it's a must. You just have to have a water bottle. The thing is that with the water bottle, you're sure that you have water. It keeps you hydrated. It helps with the tiredness and it helps with the headaches, you know. So even if ordinarily you will not have a water bottle, when you are on your periods, please have a water bottle with you, really handy, so that you can manage your periods when you're in school. The fourth tip is to make sure that you are taking advantage of the little breaks that you have in between. So whether you have a 15-minute break or you have your lunch break, each time you have any break, please rush to the toilet and check your pad, you know, or check your tampon so you can change up. All right. Some schools are quite strict, you know, as in when the lesson is going on, no breaks, nobody goes out of class. For some other schools, it's like, all right, please, I need to use the toilet, and they let you go. So you need to understand what's happening in your own class and in your own school. But usually, you'll have some breaks in between. So during those breaks, your priority will not be to chit-chat with your friends. Your priority will be to rush to the toilet and just check your pad. See if you can change your pad or change your tampon. And please remember 2 things when you do your change up. 1 is to wash your hands and sanitize your hands. And 2 is to make sure you have a little bit of spray, body spray, a little bit of deodorant just to smell nice and fresh, like nothing happened and you're back into class like it's the start of the day. And my 5th tip, which is actually my last tip, as a student, you know, when you're on your periods, it's important that you plan your personal study time to make sure that you start studying, especially for exams, early. You know, that's a general tip. But when you are on your periods, remember that you could have cramps, you could have headaches, you could just come down tired, and you're not really sure when this will come. So it's important that you plan your study times early. So an example would be that you go to school, come back, have a little bit of rest, and start your homework. If you're preparing for exams, please don't leave it to the last minute, because that last minute could just be the time when the cramps decide, oh, we're coming now. You're going to have some cramps now. Or the headache just thinks, oh, this is the time for me to have headaches, you know. So it's important to plan your study times such that you have enough time to do your homework, enough time to prepare for exams, and enough time to have some rest as well. There are some other things which you need to do to care for yourself, to stay healthy, to manage your period pain when you're on your periods. And that's whether you're a student or not, whether you go to school or not. please make sure you watch my video on the foods that you should eat and the foods that you should not eat when you are on your periods, because this is going to help you as well when you go to school and you're on your periods. You know, I've made a video about them and I'll leave a link in the description, so please make sure to watch that video. Again, don't forget to like the video and to subscribe to the channel. Please share this video to as many students as you know, so that they will be able to manage their periods when they are in school. Remember to turn on your notification bell as well, so that when I upload these videos, you do not miss out. Now that you know how to manage your periods while being in school, I will see you in my next video. In that next video, I'll be talking about something really exciting. So you just watch out for my next video. Thank you for watching. God bless you, and I'll see you then.